What's good, everybody? It's your boy UncleSamsReject here, and welcome back to the channel, boys. And today we got a little bit of a different video. I've done videos like this in the past, and I'm definitely going to be bringing them back to the channel here moving forward. So, as we already know, both Texas and Oklahoma have been unanimously voted to join the SEC in 2025. And now what I wanted to do was come in here in college football revamped on NCAA 14, and I wanted to get a 5-year sim in just to see how Texas and Oklahoma would fare in the SEC. There's a lot of people who think that they're going to be bottom feeders in the SEC. There's those other fans who think they can go into the SEC and do their thing, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with it and see what the video game has to say about this. So now, of course, for this, so we can keep the Texas and Oklahoma rivalry afloat, I put Texas on the east side of the SEC, and I put Oklahoma on the west side of the SEC. Oklahoma coming in as a top 5 school, Texas coming in as a top 15 school. And some will say Texas may have a little bit of an easier path being over here with Georgia and Florida, but then you come over here with Oklahoma, they have to go up against Alabama and LSU. So, you know, we're going to have to see how that goes. But the last time a SEC school played one of these Big 12 schools, it didn't really go that well for the Big 12 schools. But I guess we can no longer call them Big 12 schools, you know, when 2025 comes around, because they will officially be in the SEC. Now, how I'm going to do this, boys, I will not be controlling recruiting. I will not be controlling roster moves. I will not be controlling any of that. We're going to strictly do a 5-year sim, and then we're going to see what's what. We're even going to do the college football playoff, you know what I mean, if Texas and Oklahoma are in that top 4. Since we're going to try to keep it realistic, we're going to keep it as just a 14 playoff, just because, you know, they haven't extended it yet, but there are talks about them moving to a 12 team. So after 1 year of simulation, boys, we're here in the conference championship week. Texas did make it to the SEC championship game. They will be taking on Bama. Texas ends the season 10-2. Let's go ahead and take a deeper dive into these stats. So first, take a look at the east side of the SEC. Texas goes 10-2 total, 8-1 in the conference. Let's take a look at their schedule and who they lost to. They lost the very first game of the season in OT to LSU. And then they lost to Iowa State, a game that's out of conference. And then, you know, they beat Oklahoma and they ran the table, you know what I mean, from that loss versus Iowa State. And they even blew out Florida 31-6. Now come over here to the west side. Alabama goes a perfect 12-0. Oklahoma is in second at 8-4 total, 6-3 in the conference. Take a look at their schedule. They lost to Mizzou 34-16. They lost to Notre Dame in overtime, and then, you know, of course, they lost to Texas 10-33, and then they lost to Bama the second to last week of the season 31-19. So Oklahoma wasn't able to really do anything here in the SEC, you know, when you compare it to their dominance that they've had recently in the Big 12. So I did simulate a year to mimic real life, you know, because Sam Ehlinger is gone and everything like that. I just jumped in with the most recent rosters that I had, because, you know, it's not like I have the recruiting classes, the real recruiting classes for people coming in. So, you know what I mean? Sam Ehlinger, 190 for 299, 2,600 yards, 27 touchdowns, and just 6 picks, 63% completion percentage. On the ground, Bijan Robinson, 687 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keontae Ingram, 682 with 8 touchdowns. Ehlinger had 4 touchdowns on the ground. Rashawn Johnson, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Brewer had a touchdown on the ground. Receiving-wise, leading receiver, Brendan Eagles, 47 with 708 with 5 touchdowns. Moore with 558 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wiley had 7 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns for Jake Smith, 4 touchdowns for Bijan Robinson through the air. Tariq Black had 3 touchdowns. Cade Brewer had a touchdown. Defensive side of the ball, Chris Ademora led the team in tackles with 83 total, 36 solo, 47 assisted. Tackle for loss leader is going to go to Moro Ajamo. Sack leader is going to go to Moro Ajamo with 6.5. Pick leader is going to be Deshaun Jameson with 4. Now come over here and take a look at what Oklahoma did. Spencer Rattler, 185 for 411, 2,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, 15 picks, just a 45% completion percentage this season. On the ground, TJ Pledger ran for 1,000 with 12 touchdowns. Through the air, Marvin Mims, 45 catches, 538 yards, 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns for Weiss with 559 yards with less catches. 3 touchdowns for Howard, 2 touchdowns for Stogner, and then 3 touchdowns through the air for Pledger. Defensively, Nick Bonito, 84 tackles, 31 solo, 53 assisted, 19 for loss, leads the team there. Sack leader is going to be Isaiah Thomas with 5.5. Pick leader is going to be Turner Yale and Trey Brown with 4 apiece. They're ready to jump into the super sim of this game for Texas versus Alabama. Lee Corso's going with Texas for the upset. Alabama perfect 12-0, 9-0 in the conference, A pluses across the board. Texas B+, A minus. Only thing Texas has them beaten is pass defense, because they're losing the turnover differential at a -2. Alabama's +6. Take a look at Alabama's leaders. Mac Jones, 33 touchdowns with 3 picks. Najee Harris, 1,650 yards, 17 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 888 yards, 14 touchdowns. Moses leads them in tackles and picks, and Ray leads them in sacks. All right, boys, here we are. Beautiful Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see who's going to come out on top here in this SEC championship game. All right, boys, here we are. We're going to super sim this first quarter. And right now is a scoreless quarter. Mac Jones and Alabama goes down to scores. And at the end of one, Alabama has the ball. It looks like here. Texas is down 7-0. Texas forced a punt. Alabama gets it in the end zone again. Sam Ehlinger and company, they cannot finish drives here. So going into the half, Alabama's up 14-0. Starting up the second half, Texas driving, stalled again. They finally get into the end zone. Alabama gets back in the end zone. Texas at the end of 3 are driving. They're inside the red zone. 1st and 10 coming up here. Now we're going to sim the rest of the game. Texas gets in the end zone. Alabama goes right back, gets a stop, gets back in the end zone. And that's going to all but do it as Alabama beats Texas 42-14. Ehlinger just did not have it here today versus Alabama. He might have gone down a little bit. He was 8 for 15. Casey Thompson, the backup, was 6 for 15. No touchdowns and a pick. On the ground, Bijan Robinson, who's playing hurt, 16 for 71, 2 touchdowns. Through the air, Bijan Robinson, 5 for 71, 4 for 86 for Eagles, 2 for 44 for Moore. Defensively, Adioye leads Texas in tackles with 7 all solo. Deshaun Jameson and BJ Foster, 6 all solo. Tackles for loss, Coburn had 1, no sacks, no picks. Mac Jones, it looks like, played a flawless game, and Texas falls short in the SEC championship. All right, boys, so end of the season, Kyron Williams is your Heisman winner for Notre Dame. Najee Harris finishes 2nd, Etienne 3rd, Hall from ISU 4th, and Trey Sermon 5th. Texas will play Clemson in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And then Oklahoma will play Michigan in the Outback Bowl. Oklahoma is sitting at number 10. Texas goes down to number 11 with the loss to Alabama. And here's something you don't see every day, boys. Northwestern is taking on Alabama in the national championship. Northwestern goes a perfect 13-0, boys. That's crazy. All right, boys, jumping into the Outback Bowl for Oklahoma versus Michigan here in Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium. Let's see if Oklahoma can win their first bowl game as an SEC participant. All right, boys, let's go ahead and simulate this first quarter, see what Oklahoma's able to do. Scoreless so far. No, Oklahoma finally puts points on the board. They make a stop, and they have the ball to start off the second quarter. Let's go ahead and sim to the third. OU goes up 14-0. They go up 21-0. It's going to be a long day for Michigan. 28-0, 28-7, 31-7. Going into the half for Oklahoma. Unless they royally just wet the bed, I don't see them losing this game. Michigan does score. They go for 2 and they get it. They stop Oklahoma. And it looks like Oklahoma catches a pick here. So they get the ball back to start off the fourth quarter, get them 4s up. You know what time it is. Oklahoma punches it back in again. 38-15, 45-15. And a 50 burger put up for Oklahoma as they're able to win here by 30 in the Outback Bowl. Now, I won't be doing these every season if it's not like a championship game or the Natty or the college football playoffs. It's just gonna be regular sims. But Spencer Rattler goes off 5 touchdowns, no picks. On the ground, Pledger goes for 146, a touchdown. Rattler had a touchdown on the ground. Through the air, Theo Howard 9 for 100 and 3 touchdowns, 5 for 91 for Mims. 4 for 46, 3 for 51, 1 for 2 yards and a touchdown for Conyers. Defensively, Ronnie Perkins led the team in tackles, 5 all solo. Thomas, Benito, Asamoah, Fields, and Kelly all had 4 tackles. They had 5 tackles for loss as a team. They had 1 sack by Ronnie Perkins. They caught 3 picks. Deshaun White caught 2, and Bradley Hiles caught 1. And Oklahoma is this year's Outback Bowl winners. All right, boys, here we are back in Atlanta. Chick-fil-A Bowl, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Texas has played here for the 2nd straight game. Texas Clemson. I mean, this has the makings for an amazing bowl game. All right, boys, let's see how this goes. Clemson gets rocked first, and they punch it in. Texas looking to respond. They are forced to punt. They get the ball back. They get 3. Going into the second quarter, Clemson has the ball. Can Texas get a stop? They cannot. They go down 14-3. They're looks like their drive stalls there. They get a stop. They get back in the end zone. 14-10 going into the half. Trevor Lawrence hit Amari Rodgers for a pass, but it wasn't enough. Now, starting out the second half here, Texas does have the ball, and they get 3. They're down 1, but they give up 6, and they get 3 more. And here we are, get them 4s up, down 5. Clemson with the ball. Going into the fourth, Clemson punches it in. Texas is forced to punt. Not enough time, and Texas is going to lose this game 35-16. So Texas loses 2 straight games, back-to-back weeks So they, they don't get a bowl win. It's the first time in the SEC where their rival Oklahoma gets it done. Sam Ehlinger, 20 for 32, 194, a touchdown on the ground. Bijan Robinson, 56 yards. Through the air, change teams. Through the air, Josh Moore had 72 yards and a touchdown. Nobody else really did anything. 11 pancakes by Cosme, though. And then defensively, Ajamo led them in tackles with 6 all solo with Asai and Mitchell. They had 4 tackles for loss. They were unable to sack Trevor Lawrence, and they were unable to catch any picks. All right, guys, final top 25 for the first season. Alabama, of course, blows out Northwestern 40-10 in the Natty. You know what I mean? Here's a look at your top 10. Oklahoma finishes at number 8. Texas goes down from 10 to 14. And yeah, those are our 2 teams there. Army even makes it. All right, boys, here we are at signing day. A very, very important, thing that these teams need to be able to compete in the SEC over the next few years. Texas has a top 10 recruiting class at number 6. They get a 5-star, 8 4-stars, 3 7-stars, 5 2-stars. Oklahoma gets 3 5-stars, 9 4-stars, 11 3-stars, and they have the number 1 class in the nation. All right, boys, here we are starting off season number 2. And it does not get easier. Texas starts off the season playing number 1 Bama. They're number 113. Taking a look at the preseason polls, Oklahoma is number 4. And we already know Texas is number 13. 91, 90, 93 for Texas. And then for Oklahoma, 99s across the board. Neither Texas or Oklahoma has a guy on the Heisman watch list. Texas or Oklahoma doesn't have first team preseason All-Americans. All right, boys, here we are into season number 2. Not so successful season for Texas. They finished the season 7-5. Then Oklahoma also finishes the season 7-5. So season stats here for Texas. Casey Thompson, 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 14 picks. Bijan Robinson goes for 1,000, 10 touchdowns. Rashawn Johnson goes for 686 yards, 7 touchdowns. Casey Thompson had 2 touchdowns as well. Receiving wise, Josh Moore, 49 for 616, 4 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns for Washington, a touchdown for Smith, 3 touchdowns for Bijan Robinson. So, I mean, they didn't have that many opportunities, barring, their quarterback didn't have the greatest year. 77 tackles, 29 solo for DeMarvion Overshown. He also leads Ajamo Woods leads the team in tackles for loss. Sack leaders goes to Ajamo. 3 picks is the most by Deshaun Jameson. All right, take a look at the season Spencer Rattler had. 2,600 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 picks, only a 48% completion percentage. He had just a 47% completion percentage last season, so that's disgusting. On the ground, Marcus Major nearly runs for 1,000, 8 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns for McGowan. Receiving wise, 47 for 547, 3 touchdowns, 5 for Stogner, 7 for Weiss, 4 for Bridges. Benito leads the team in tackles, I think, for the 2nd straight year, if I'm not mistaken. 81 total, 34 solo, 10 for loss, 26 tackles for loss for Isaiah Thomas, who leads the team with 8.5 sacks and 4 picks by Bradley Hiles. And, that's a three pick upgrade to what he did last season. All right, boys. So Army's running back Tyrell Robinson wins the Heisman. Who would have saw that coming? Texas at number 15 in the nation will be taking on Memphis in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. And then Oklahoma will be taking on Texas Tech in the Mercari Texas Bowl. So we simulate the Texas Bowl. They beat Memphis 28-10. Take a look at some of these stats here. Wrong team. Casey Thompson, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. On the ground, 147 for Bijan Robinson and a touchdown. 82 yards and a touchdown for Moore. Touchdown for Johnson and a touchdown for Washington. Coming over here to the defensive side of the ball, 7 tackles. 3 solo for Overshown and Woods. 2 sacks for Woods. Sack for Overshown, 2 sacks for Ajamo, a pick by Thompson. And then Oklahoma beats the hell out of Texas Tech 55-17. Spencer Rattler, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 254 yards, 105 on the ground for McGowan. Major was 76 and 2 touchdowns. Touchdown for Willis. 9 for 108 for Stogner and a touchdown. Touchdown for Bridges. Defensively, 7 tackles for a solo for White. Let's see. Ellison had a sack. He also had 2 tackles for loss. Agwogbu had a pick. Davis had a pick. And Oklahoma gets, Oklahoma and Texas in year 2 both finished with the same record. All right, boys. So in a surprising fashion, Army wins the national championship versus their rival Notre Dame. All right, boys. Signing day number 2. Texas has the number 22 recruiting class. 1 5-star, 5 4-stars, 3 3-stars, 4 2-stars. Oklahoma has a 5-star, 5 4-stars, 10 3-stars, and a 2-star. All right, boys, we're not going to go too deep in some things because, you know, the key is to see how they're going to win here. But take a look at Texas. They come into the season ranked 12th in the nation. I should have made myself one of the coaches for freaking Oklahoma because it takes me a while to find what they're doing. Oklahoma not in the top 10. They are actually right behind Texas at 14. A+, 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 B-, A+, A-, C+. Oklahoma's kicker is a first-team preseason All-American once again. Then Oklahoma has a tight end as a first-team All-Conference. Texas has Coburn. The kicker is a first team, and they have a return man for first team for Oklahoma. All right, guys, the end of season number 3, and Texas continues to regress. They go from 10-3 to 8-5, and now they're 5-7. They're not even going to be making a bowl game this year. Oklahoma, they finished with the same record. They were 7-5 last year, so they get better. They're 8-4 this year, 5-4 in the conference. So Casey Thompson continues to struggle. Let's see. He only had 46% completion percentage, 17 for 6, touchdown to pick ratio, less than 2,000 yards passing. On the ground, Bijan Robinson ran for 1,300, 15 touchdowns, 4 for Casey on the ground, 2 for Williams. Through the air, 42 for 578, 7 touchdowns for Moore, 2 touchdowns for Washington Smith, 4 touchdowns for Whittington. Defensively, Gabenga leads them in tackles 73, 30 solo, 13 for loss. Ajama leads them in tackles for loss. Ajama leads the team in sacks. And then Crawford and Owens lead the team in picks with 2. For Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler probably has his best season yet. No, I mean, it's up there. 29 touchdowns, 10 picks, 2,600 yards, 52% completion percentage. On the ground, 1,000-yard rusher from Marcus Major with 12 touchdowns, 4 for McGowan, 2 for Rattler, 732 yards receiving for Mims with 9 touchdowns, 700 yards, 6 touchdowns for Stogner, 500 yards, 6 touchdowns for Bridges, 4 touchdowns for Gatson and Major. Defensively, Bonito leads the team in tackles once again, this time with 92 total tackles, 37 solo, 17 for loss. Ellison leads the team with 22. And then Robertson leads the team with 8 sacks and then 4 picks for Jaden Davis. All right, boys, Oklahoma does win their bowl game and finish the season 9-4 with a 45-13 victory over Purdue. If I'm not mistaken, Oklahoma is 3-0 in their bowl games, boys. So, you know what I mean? At least they're winning bowl games here as a part of the SEC, but they have yet to appear in the SEC championship game. All right, boys, here we are getting ready for season number 4. Texas comes into this season ranked number 23. They're 95s across the board, so hopefully they can win some games. And they come over here to the west side. Oklahoma comes in at number 9 in the nation, and they're 99, 99, 97. Can one of these two break through and actually, you know, make some noise here in the SEC? Texas has already been to the SEC championship, but they haven't been back since or even close. Oklahoma has yet to even get close to the SEC championship game. Oh my goodness, boys. So, season 4 is in the books, and Texas goes 3-9, fam. Ugh. In the West, Oklahoma finishes 5-7, 3-6 in the conference. Boy, oh boy. Hudson Card gets his first year as a starter. 57% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 8 picks, 1,700 yards. On the ground, Ben Williams runs for 948, 7 touchdowns. Hudson Card runs for 696, 4 touchdowns. Through the air, Whittington had 9 touchdowns, 5 for Amir, 3 for Williams, 2 for Kenny. Defensively, Gabenga, 83 tackles, 53 assisted, 10 for loss. Collins gets that. Sack leaders, Collins. Pick leader, Crawford and Ingram. Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler in his last year finally throws for 3,000, 33 touchdowns, only 8 picks. 61% completion percentage, his best season yet. On the ground, McGowan runs for 913, 2 touchdowns, but Antonio White gets all the touchdowns with 9. Receiving, Mims on nearly 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 for Gatson on 800 yards, 5 for Black, 3 for McGowan, 5 for Hill. Defensively, Witter leads them in tackles with 79, 49 assisted, 12 tackles for loss leads the team. Grimes, Robertson, and Washington lead the team with 3.5 sacks. Pick leader is going to be Jamal Morris, boys. So neither one of these teams make a bowl this season. That is just absolutely, man, maybe they should stay in the Big 12 if it's going to end up being anything like this, dog. That's crazy. All right, guys, so Army wins back-to-back Heismans with Tyrell Robertson. This is so bad that Tom Herman actually got fired from Texas. So for this last season of the simulation, I won't be even controlling Texas. All right, boys. So for the 5th and final season, Texas is actually in the mix. Let's see. I think they're actually going to make the championship game. Oh no, they lose. They miss out to number 1 Tennessee. They're 8-1 in the conference. They're 7-2. They're number 3 though. And then when it comes here to Alabama, when it comes over here to Oklahoma, they finished the 5th and final season 7-5. So they were unable to really get over that hump here in the SEC. Take a look at Texas stats, boys. It looks like Jacoby Criswell took over Hudson Card's spot. 3,200 yards, 39 touchdowns, just 6 picks, 273 yards a game, 65% completion percentage. Rushing yards, Williams ran for 972 touchdowns. And then Kevin Williams ran for 822, 9 touchdowns. Criswell ran for 586 touchdowns. Dang. Receiving wise, Omer almost had 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. 722 for Bates, 8 touchdowns. Kenny, 564, 10 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns for Williams, 4 for Swain, 3 for Parks. Defensively, Jalen Ford led the team in tackles with 9, 37 solo, 12 for loss. Tyler leads the team in loss. Tyler leads the team in sacks. Johnson leads the team in picks. For Oklahoma, Willie Stanford, 2,400 yards, 27 touchdowns, 12 picks, 53 completion percentage. White ran for 709 touchdowns, 700 for Jones and 3 touchdowns. Receiving 611, 5 touchdowns, 703, 9 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. Defensively, Bryant led the team in tackles, 101, 43 solo, 8 for loss, 20 for loss for Grimes. Grimes and Hicks lead the team in sacks with 6.5. And Oklahoma only caught 2 picks the whole entire season. All right, boys. So Texas's Jacoby Criswell wins the Heisman. So in the 5th and final season, Texas is coming in clutch. They get a Heisman winner, and they will be in the college football playoff. All right, boys. So Tennessee beats Bama in the SEC championship game. Texas was number 3 in the coaches poll, but they were number 2 in the BCS bowl. The BCS poll. So they stay at number 2. They're going to be the 2 seed that plays against Cal in the playoffs, and then UCLA will be playing against Tennessee. Take a look at All-Americans here. Even though Criswell won the Heisman, he doesn't make first team All-American. Parr from Texas is an All-American. Tyler from Texas is an All-American. Come over to the second team. Criswell doesn't win second team first team All-American. That's actually kind of crazy. Baker is there for Texas. Freshman All-Americans, you got Greg McDowell for Texas. You got Marcus Robinson for Texas. First team All-SEC. Texas, Criswell doesn't even win first team All-SEC, which is actually insane. Parr's there for Texas. Baker's there for Texas. Tyler's there for Texas. Oklahoma has nobody. Second team, there's Criswell finally. Let's see if we got any other Texas or Oklahoma guys. Parks is there for Oklahoma, and Ingram is there for Texas. But Criswell does win the Maxwell Award. Criswell finishes second to Harrison Bailey for the Davey O'Brien Award. Harrison Bailey had a slightly better season. I will give him that. All right, boys. So first up, we got Tennessee taking on UCLA. Let's go ahead and sim through that. They will be playing in the Rose Bowl. Tennessee does what you think the number 1 team in the nation is going to do, and they go ahead and beat the hell out of UCLA. All right, boys, here we are in the Sugar Bowl. It has taken every single one of the 5 years to get to this point, and they actually got lucky, you know what I'm saying, by not having a conference championship game to get to this point. So let's see if Texas can take full advantage of this situation and get into the Natty. All right, boys, let's get through this first quarter here. And we got a 0-0 ball game, and Texas is finally on the board first. Cal answers back. That's going to be the end of the first 7-7 ball game. Texas gets back in the end zone 14-7. Texas goes up 21-7. Cal comes back and gets 3. And Cal gets 7 more before the end of the first half. So we're going into the locker room 21-17. Now let's see if Texas can come out here and put some points on the board. 2 stops by both defenses. Cal's finally in the end zone up 6. Texas is driving here as we go into the fourth quarter. Get those 4s up, ladies and gentlemen. Texas gets it in the end zone. They go up 1. And this is a pretty back and forth game. Cal gets in the end zone, goes up 7, goes up 10. Texas runs out of time, and they lose this game 38-5. The Heisman winner, Criswell, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 64 completion percentage. On the ground, Williams had 114 with a touchdown. Through the air, Omer had 8 for 120, 2 touchdowns. Swain had a touchdown. Kenny had a touchdown. Defensively, Johnson led them in tackles with 6 all solo with Antonio Thomas. No sacks and no picks. Take a look at the score summary, man. It was just a back and forth game, but Texas getting blanked in the third quarter is what ultimately hurt them. All right, guys, so the final top 25 of the simulation. Texas is going to finish as the number 4 team in the nation, and out of this whole entire simulation, Texas has fared way better than Oklahoma with this move to the SEC. First year they went to the SEC championship. They had some crappy years. They had to end up firing their coach and everything like that. But here in the 5th and final year, they make it to the college playoff. They made it to, the national Final Four, as where Oklahoma, they won every bowl game they were in, but they never made it to a BCS bowl, and none of their seasons ever really counted. Now you could say that Oklahoma had the harder route being over there with Alabama and LSU. But at the end of the day, man, you gotta take advantage of who's on your schedule and win the games and play who you have to play. But for the most part, in a 5-year sim, it was pretty unsuccessful. No conference championships by any team. No national championships by any team. They won some bowl games, but I think Texas lost every single bowl game they were in. But you guys let me know down below how you guys perceive this simulation and how you guys think Texas and Oklahoma are going to fare once they actually move to the SEC IRL in 2025. If you guys want to see more videos like this, stop and smash that like button. Hit me up in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new, man. It's your boy UncleSamsReject, RKGames.com. I'm out of here. Peace.
Letting you go, I was just letting you know. I know the weather is cold, but you on your own. I ain't no regular Joe, you should've left me alone. I'm in the zone, I'm where the predators roam. We at the Senate in Rome, and I'm on the throne. This ain't no regular poem, this ain't that regular tone, no. Do you follow me?